Welcome, dear listeners. Today, we embrace the exploration of compassion, a trait that, if you possess it, is not merely a part of your character, but a monumental gift to the world. Compassion is the emotional pulse of humanity, the very essence that connects us not only to each other but to the deepest parts of ourselves. We begin by understanding the nature of compassion. It is an instinct, yes, but it goes far beyond the mere reflexes of empathy or sympathy. Compassion is the active desire to alleviate suffering and the genuine concern for the welfare of others. When you look at someone, do you see a stranger, or do you recognize a reflection of yourself, a person with dreams, fears, and a life filled with triumphs and disappointments? Consider the last time you felt moved by someone's distress. What stirred within you? Was it a fleeting emotion or a powerful urge that propelled you into action? The instinct of compassion is that force which transforms concern into tangible aid. It is love set into motion, a beacon of light in another's darkness. In a world that often seems driven by self-interest and isolation, your compassion becomes a radical act of defiance. It is easy to walk past a person in need, to turn a blind eye to suffering, and to close our hearts to the pain we witness. It takes courage to do the opposite, to reach out, to connect, to help. But compassion is not just about grand gestures or saving the world. It is found in the small acts of kindness that occur every day. It is in the gentle word, the helping hand, the patient listening, and the simple acknowledgement of another's existence. These acts, while seemingly insignificant, ripple outwards, affecting lives in ways we may never fully comprehend. Have you ever considered the impact of your smallest acts of compassion? As we move through our exploration, let us address the misconceptions surrounding compassion. It is often mistaken for weakness, a soft-heartedness that can be exploited. This could not be further from the truth. Compassion requires immense strength, resilience, and a profound understanding of the human condition. It asks you to bear witness to pain without being consumed by it, to offer hope when you yourself might feel hopeless. There is also wisdom in knowing the boundaries of your compassion. It is not about depleting yourself for others or carrying burdens that are not yours to bear. True compassion understands limits and recognizes that self-care is vital. How can you fill another's cup if yours is empty? Thus, we learn that to be effectively compassionate, we must also be compassionate towards ourselves. Now, let us turn our focus to the cultivation of compassion. How does one nurture this instinct and allow it to flourish? It begins with awareness, the conscious recognition of the suffering around use and within use. It grows through connection, the deliberate act of engaging with others, not as separate entities but as fellow travelers on life's journey. Cultivating compassion also requires practice. Like any skill, the more we exercise it, the more adept we become. It involves challenging our prejudices, confronting our biases, and stepping outside our comfort zones. It is a process of continual learning and reflection. What can you do today to strengthen your compassion? But compassion is not a one-way street. As we give, so too do we receive. The beauty of compassion lies in its reciprocity. In alleviating the suffering of others, we find our own burdens lightened. In offering love, we receive love. In changing the lives of others, we are ourselves transformed. Can you recall a moment when giving compassion enriched your own life? In the latter part of this section, let us reflect on the societal implications of compassion. When infused into the fabric of our communities, compassion has the power to revolutionize the way we live. It can transform systems of governance, education, and healthcare. It can bridge divides and heal wounds that have long festered. What would our world look like if compassion were at the heart of our collective decisions? As we conclude this initial segment of our dialogue, let's recognize that your instinct of compassion is indeed a powerful gift. It is the light that guides us through the darkness, the thread that binds the tapestry of humanity, and the force that can, bit by bit, shape a kinder, more loving world. Let's hold on to this thought, and when you are ready, we will continue to unravel the deeper layers of compassion and its place in our lives. Compassion, the heart's alchemy and soul's embrace. Compassion has the unique ability to transmute the leaden weight of our struggles into the golden light of understanding and connection. It is in our personal relationships that this alchemy is most evident. When we approach our interactions with a compassionate heart, we create a space for authenticity and vulnerability. It's within this space that true bonds are formed. Have you ever noticed how compassion can soften the hardest heart or bring a smile to a weary face? It's because, at our core, we all seek understanding and acceptance. When someone shows us genuine compassion, it's as if they're saying, "I see your pain, and it matters to me." This recognition can be a powerful salve for the soul, soothing our inner wounds and allowing healing to begin. But compassion in relationships is not just about responding to pain. It's also about celebrating joy with the same fervor. It is rejoicing in the successes and happiness of others as if they were our own. Sometimes we might find it challenging to be happy for others, especially when we are facing our own difficulties. It is here that compassion asks us to rise above our circumstances and embrace a more expansive view of joy. How can we, in our times of challenge, still find the capacity to celebrate with others? A critical aspect of compassion in relationships is the practice of forgiveness. Forgiveness is not about condoning hurtful actions or forgetting the pain they caused. It is about releasing ourselves from the bitterness that can bind us to the past. Compassion allows us to recognize the shared imperfection of being human and offers a path forward. Through forgiveness, we free not only the one who wronged us, but also ourselves. What does forgiveness look like in your life, and how can compassion guide you to it? Moving deeper, let's examine how compassion enhances our emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is the ability to understand and manage our emotions and the emotions of those around us. Compassion is its cornerstone. When we interact with others, it is not enough to simply understand their words. We must sense the emotions behind them. This empathetic resonance is what allows us to respond in ways that are truly supportive and nurturing. Compassion also teaches us to listen, not just with our ears, but with our hearts. In listening with a compassionate heart, we give the gift of presence, which can often mean more than any words we might offer. Have you experienced the profound difference between being heard and being truly listened to? Furthermore, compassion asks us to look beyond the surface. People often hide their pain behind masks of anger, indifference, or even excessive cheerfulness. Compassion gives us the insight to see behind these masks and understand that behavior is often a language of its own. It calls us to respond not to the mask, but to the person beneath it. How might our relationships change if we consistently looked beyond the facade? It is also important to acknowledge that compassion does not mean losing oneself in the service of others. True compassion is not self-sacrifice, it is self-awareness. It understands that we can only be of service if we are whole. Therefore, it is crucial to set boundaries that protect our well-being. Compassion balanced with wisdom knows when to say yes and when to lovingly say no. How do you find balance between helping others and taking care of yourself? As we come to the end of this part, let's reflect on the role of compassion in personal growth. It not only strengthens our relationships, but also propels us on our journey of self-discovery. Through compassionate interactions, we learn about the depths of our capacity for love, the strength of our resilience, and the power of our presence. In every act of compassion, we are not only giving to others, we are also giving to ourselves. With this understanding of compassion's transformative power in personal relationships, we are ready to venture further into its wider implications and the practical wisdom it offers for our daily lives. Compassion as a catalyst for collective harmony. Compassion, when exercised at a communal level, becomes a powerful catalyst for change and harmony. It is the cornerstone of communities that are resilient, supportive, and thriving. When we collectively commit to living compassionately, we lay the foundation for a society that is not just functional, but flourishing. Consider the concept of interdependence, the understanding that our lives are inextricably linked with those of others. This principle suggests that the well-being of the individual is tied to the well-being of the community. Compassion recognizes this connection and motivates us to act in ways that contribute to the collective good. How does your well-being influence and is influenced by the well-being of your community? In examining the role of compassion in communities, we must address its impact on societal structures and institutions. When policymakers, educators, and leaders embody compassionate principles, the systems they shape are more likely to serve the needs of all individuals. Compassion in governance can lead to policies that address inequality, protect the vulnerable, and prioritize the health of the environment. What changes might occur if compassion were the guiding principle in decision-making processes at all levels of society? The education system also stands to benefit greatly from the infusion of compassion. When educators approach teaching with empathy and understanding, students are more likely to engage, learn, and thrive. Compassionate education fosters an environment where skills such as collaboration, emotional intelligence, and ethical thinking are valued alongside academic achievement. How might a compassionate approach to education transform the learning experience for students? Just as compassion heals individuals, it also has the power to heal communities. It can bridge divides, foster understanding across differences, and inspire collective action towards common goals. When we view those who are different from us through a compassionate lens, we see not an other, but a fellow human with their own story, struggles, and aspirations. How might compassion help us navigate and celebrate our differences? Moreover, compassion in action can take many forms within a community. It can be volunteer work, supporting local businesses, or simply being a good neighbor. These actions build social capital, the networks, norms, and trust that enable participants to act together more effectively to pursue shared objectives. Social capital is the glue that holds societies together, and compassion is a key ingredient. What actions can you take to contribute to the social capital of your community? Let us also explore how technology and media can serve as conduits for compassion. Social platforms, when used mindfully, can amplify acts of kindness, spread awareness of issues that require collective compassion, and mobilize resources for those in need. However, it is also vital to exercise discernment, ensuring that the technology which has the power to connect us does not instead drive us apart. In what ways can you use technology to foster rather than hinder compassionate connections? As we reflect on the collective dimension of compassion, we must not ignore the challenges it faces. In a world often marked by division, apathy, and fear, compassion can seem like a scarce resource. Yet it is precisely in such a world that compassion becomes most necessary and potent. It is an act of courage to remain compassionate in the face of cynicism and despair. How can we sustain compassion in ourselves and encourage it in others, even when it is most difficult? In wrapping up this segment, we understand that compassion's reach extends far beyond the individual. It is a force that, when embraced by a community, can transcend barriers, heal divisions, and create a more harmonious world. The path to collective harmony is paved with the footsteps of individual acts of compassion. Now, as we prepare to journey into the final part of our discourse, we will bring together all that we have, learn it about compassion, and explore how to embody it in the essence of our daily lives. Embodied compassion, the living tapestry of kindred spirits. As we reach the culmination of our exploration, we recognize that compassion is not merely a concept to understand, but a practice to embody. It is a way of being that we weave into the very fabric of our daily lives, creating a tapestry rich with the threads of kindness, understanding, and shared humanity. Embodied compassion begins with the self. It is the gentle voice that offers encouragement instead of criticism, the nurturing presence that fosters growth instead of stagnation. It is in the quiet moments of self-reflection that we often find the strength to extend compassion to others. How do you practice self-compassion, and how does it shape your interactions with the world? The next thread in our tapestry involves intentional acts of kindness. These are the gestures, big and small, that affirm our connection to others. Whether it's a smile to a stranger, a meal shared with a friend, or a commitment to service, these acts ripple outward, touching lives in ways we may never fully know. What acts of kindness can you incorporate into your routine to strengthen the fabric of your community? As we continue to weave our tapestry, we also embrace mindful communication. Compassionate dialogue involves listening deeply, speaking truthfully, and expressing gratitude. It is through our words and the intention behind them that we acknowledge the dignity of those we interact with. How can you use communication to build bridges rather than walls in your relationships? Embodied compassion also means being present in the midst of suffering, ours and that of others. It is a resilience that does not shy away from pain but instead chooses to face it with empathy and support. It is in the shared experiences of hardship that the bonds of compassion are tested and strengthened. How can you remain present and compassionate, even during challenging times? Furthermore, embodied compassion is about celebrating diversity and practicing inclusion. It is the recognition that every person is a unique thread in the tapestry of humanity, and each adds to its beauty. By valuing the varied textures and patterns that different cultures, backgrounds, and experiences contribute, we create a richer, more vibrant community. How can you actively embrace and celebrate diversity in your daily life? Sustainability is another crucial aspect of embodied compassion. It is the understanding that our actions have a lasting impact on the planet and future generations. When we make choices rooted in compassion for the earth, we contribute to a sustainable and thriving world. What choices can you make that reflect compassion for the environment and the well-being of future generations? Lastly, the practice of embodied compassion is a commitment to continuous growth. It is an acknowledgement that as we learn and evolve, so too does our capacity for compassion. This journey is one without end, as there will always be new opportunities to practice compassion, new challenges to overcome, and new wisdom to gain. How will you commit to a lifelong practice of compassion? In weaving this final part of our discourse, we realize that the tapestry of compassion is ever-growing. It is crafted by the hands of countless individuals, each contributing to a collective work of art that spans across time and space. It is a living testament to the power of compassion to transform not only individuals but also the world. As we conclude, let us carry with us the knowledge that every thread of compassion we weave into the fabric of our lives strengthens the whole. In embodying compassion, we become kindred spirits, united in a shared purpose to create a world that is kinder, gentler, and more understanding. Now, with the threads of insight gathered here, go forth and continue to weave your own contributions to this living tapestry. May your life be both a reflection of compassion's beauty and a beacon for others to follow.